There's a radio commercial I've heard a couple of times, and I'm sorry to say I don't remember the sponsor, but what I remember is that somewhere in it, the announcer says, in effect, that the basketball season is longer than the Peloponnesian Wars. Well, that's almost true. It began, what, last November and ended last night. This is June. I think that's funny. But the basketball season here at Johnson County Community College has yet to get underway for the year, and when it does, the men's team will be under the guidance of Mike Jeffers, who's my guest here this afternoon. Mike, you've just come to the college.
That's correct.
How do you like it so far?
Love it. Love
Good,
it.
good.
Love it.
Where were you before you came to us?
I was down at Macon, Georgia. I was at Mercer University the last 2 years as associate head coach there. I've spent the last 13 years coaching basketball, 11 on the college level and 2 on the high school level.
Well, I tell you what, you've already taught me how to pronounce Macon. Macon, Georgia. That's instructive. You're taking over a pretty well-established program with a pretty good record here at the college.
We're excited about it. It's it's a good move for me. I'm back as a head coach again. I spent 4 years at Bruton Parker Junior College as a head coach and had pretty good success there. Took a couple of teams to the national tournament. My '87 team finished 6th in the nation out of Hutchinson, Kansas in the national tournament. So we've had some success along the way and are excited about being at Johnson County Community College.
Well, I don't have to ask you what your goals are then, do I? Or do I?
Our goals are, to develop the kind of program here that the community, the school, the alumni, the administration, and our students would be proud of our accomplishments. Of course, that is to have a successful basketball program, to go to the national tournament, and, of course, as a basketball coach, my ultimate goal is to win a national championship.
Sure, sure.
And that's our main goal. Our objective is, to have a team that is very representative of what Johnson County Community College is all about.
Okay, obviously recruiting is a major part of the success and the work of any basketball coach and any basketball team. But recruiting for a 2-year college must be different from recruiting for a 4-year.
Recruiting becomes almost a two-way street in a community college situation. One where you're trying to recruit student athletes to your program, and then you turn it around in 2 years and help those same student athletes move on into a 4-year situation.
Well, when you go out recruiting now, you go to the high schools.
High schools mainly.
Oh, what else?
You might pick up a transfer or two from another 4-year school that went there initially, became disenchanted for one reason or another, and felt like they wanted to go to a community college situation at that time.
Okay, you go to the high schools, though, which is where probably all the 4-year colleges go to recruit to. Are you in competition with them? Are you all after the same people?
Well, I think in recruiting, a lot of times you wind up everybody being after the same individual,
right.
Especially one that can, that's very gifted athletically and academically. Everybody would like to have that type of individual in their program. A lot of times I think we wind up in a situation in a community college of trying to work with the 4-year schools because our objective is to bring in a young man that can come in here, work 2 years to improve himself athletically and academically, and then move on to the 4-year level.
That's very interesting. So that it's almost a cooperative thing in many ways then.
I've got quite a few 4-year institutions that I'm very close to throughout the country that...
Do they ever give you tips?
All the time.
Do they
all the
really?
Time, yes. Recruiting is a process that probably is 12 months of the year. I don't know if there's any time that a basketball program anymore that wants to achieve high goals athletically and academically that there's any time that you're not recruiting.
Is there a certain kind of high school student that is a likely candidate for a community college or for a 2-year?
From my standpoint, there's 2 types of student athletes that we'll look for or that we'll have a high interest in. And those are ones that could be at this particular point academically ready for a 4-year situation, but not quite athletically ready. And then there's the other type of student athlete that's athletically ready for a 4-year program, but maybe has not been academically prepared to compete in a 4-year situation right away.
Maybe that's why each of them has the problem you're describing. If he spends all his time on academics, he hasn't had time for the sports, and the same thing might be true the other way. Is that reasonable?
That's very reasonable. Mm-hmm.
Is there a question of maturity, physical maturity, at that age that also, you know, develops during the next 2 years if he's in a community college? That
you'll get a lot of seniors that graduate from high school will only be 17 years old. Mm-hmm. You'll have some that are 18 and have some that are 19. The athletic and the physical maturity, a lot of times, of young men at that age are just starting, you know, they're just really getting into the strength development stage.
Yeah.
And I had a player back in 1986, 87 that we recruited out of high school down in South Georgia that wasn't recruited very heavily, grew 2 inches, gained about 20 pounds over 2 years, and became a junior college All-American, and was virtually overlooked by every school in the country. So that does happen quite a bit.
Hard to predict a thing like that.
It's hard. You really don't. It's more of a thing that happens.
I've heard, I remember hearing anyway, a coach once, I think probably high school, talking about a guy who he thought had potential, one of the boys in the school, but saying he just hasn't got his coordination yet.
Mm-hmm.
That happens, and I'd never heard that expression.
That happens with a lot of big kids, a lot of your taller players. But then you get a case like Scottie Pippen that plays for the Chicago Bulls that just won the NBA championship. He came out of high school at 6'2", not recruited at all, wound up going to Central Arkansas, grew 5 inches while he was there, and now is 6'7", and, you know, was a first-round pick in the NBA draft when he came out of college.
Gosh. When a student athlete has been at a college like ours, or a 2-year college, and has done well academically as well as in the sport, is he then recruited by a 4-year? Can he look for an athletic scholarship at a 4-year school? What are the methods he moves on from here?
That's part of my role as their coach, and our role in a community college.
Give them a hand.
Is to give them a hand, make sure that they're developing athletically and academically, so at the end of their 2 years in our program that they're going to have that opportunity to move on to a Division I school or Division II school or even an NAIA program where they can get a scholarship for their last 2 years.
Fun. When do you first get together with the team now?
Well, you know, we're in contact with a lot of them right now.
I mean, on the court or on, yeah.
Official practice won't begin until like in the late part of September sometime.
Okay, maybe we could talk again then or after the season or something. But good luck. Good talking to you.
Appreciate it.
See you next time.